Roy Hodgson's been talking about today, admitting that Crystal Palace would be interested in signing Kalvin Phillips on loan. And he believes that Palace could offer him the perfect route into Gareth Southgate's Euro squad. But he knows they won't be the only club interested.
Once again, there will be financial restrictions. Who knows whether the club feels that they can afford that. But if you're talking about the level of player, I don't think there'll be many managers who would not say, yeah, we'd be really happy to have him come to the club. If they are purely going to sell him, then I wouldn't think we will be in the market. If they are going to loan him, I would like to think that possibly we could put our hand up and push ourselves forward. And what we could then, of course, offer is, probably the chance of playing regular football in the Premiership in the build-up to what is going to be a very important summer for England and obviously for him. But we might not be the only club in that position.
So look, guys, Roy very keen on him. So my question is, Roger, does he need to leave City?
I put myself in that situation. I would want to go and play football. He's a massive talent, and game time. Look, I've seen it over the years. Some players aren't that bothered about playing; they're just sat there and earning money. Me as an individual, I always wanted to play games, and if I wasn't playing, I would look to go and play. So the fact that he's talking about it and wants to go and get football, obviously with a massive summer coming up, he'll want to be on that plane. There's no question about it. So I think it's a good thing if he does. Roy Hodgson said there that I can't see us being the only one. So if they want to get it done, I'd do it quickly if I were them, because as the window goes on, you see it every year. People hijack moves and will just swipe him, because he's a massive talent.
It's interesting, I was watching his body language at the end of that game. I mean, it was an epic win for them, wasn't it, the weekend against Spurs for City? But, it looks like he's really in the team. So how difficult is it when you're mates with everyone and then you're not being played, so you kind of almost have to go for the good of you? Well,
it's difficult because, listen, they've probably got a great team spirit there, great camaraderie. And they
win a lot.
And they win a lot.
Win a lot of trophies.
But winning and not being on the pitch, you don't feel like you've really contributed.
Right.
It's difficult. I've been in that position where I've been in teams that have been successful, but if I haven't played a huge part in that, you don't necessarily feel, you don't feel like you've really achieved it. So for him, I think he'll definitely want to go. I think that there'll be a whole host of clubs that want to take him. And I know Kalvin, and I know that he wants to play football. I know he's not the type of person that just wants to sit there and just pick up his money and is happy with that.
Well, you know him then, so would Palace fit him?
I think most teams in the Premier League would fit him. I think that he could walk into most teams and do a great job for them, because he's proven that he's a Premier League player, he's a top Premier League player. Hence why Manchester City bought him in the first place. Yeah. And I think he's been unlucky in the fact that Rodri, who plays in the same position, has been so integral to everything that Manchester City do. I think that's kind of gone against him. But that doesn't diminish him as a footballer. It just means that his opportunities have been very limited.
Who else wants him?
We know there are lots of clubs interested. It's no surprise he's one of the top talents in the Premier League who's not playing on a regular basis. But Juventus were the first to show their interest, and in the last few days we've learnt about the interest from Palace, confirmed by Roy Hodgson now. Everton, a possibility. West Ham have been big fans of Kalvin Phillips for a long time, and of course Newcastle as well. They've got an injury now to Joe Linton, so that could change the dynamic there. So I think this is one that could actually go right down to the wire. Certainly teams are not playing a lot of games at the moment, so I think that's one of the other reasons why there's not as much activity this month, because teams are not playing game after game after game. They know that if they wait...
Who's that making a big old noise, Michael Bridge?
To me.
Blame you.
If they wait, it's not going to have a big impact in terms of games. So, yeah, I think it could go right down to the wire. It will be a good option for him, Crystal Palace, and a good option as well for Kalvin Phillips. But I think he might just bide his time and see whether Newcastle firm up their interest and whether one or two other clubs come in. But it could be a difficult deal, even if it's a loan deal, because of the sums involved.
OK, you're slightly off-putting me there with all your body movements going on. You all right?
Yeah,
just
I'm fine, yeah.
Great.
No, it was just interesting because Roy Hodgson was quite open today in his press conference.
He was.
But he also talked about PSR as well and praising Steve Parish
Okay.
He understands the frustrations fans have and want in terms of wanting more. But he said in the last transfer window, I thought the club was very sensible in what they did. They were very happy with the players they brought in. I'm 100% behind what Steve Parish and Crystal Palace and what they do, as frustrating as it must be. Because we have mentioned that clubs have been, what about this club, what about that club? So it was interesting that Roy Hodgson brought that up today on PSL.
Yeah, I mean, he wants him potentially on loan, but it could be with an option to...
And also, if clubs can't afford Kalvin Phillips, you know, we talk about the loan fee.
Yeah.
That's what interested me, Roy Hodgson. But it was refreshing how open he was today on it.
Yeah, I think the City might want them to pay his wages, so that might be a sticking point for some clubs. What do you get with Kalvin Phillips then, Roger? What sort of player do you get when he comes along?
Quality for one. All in, 100%. He'll just, I think, certainly if he goes to a Palace team, he'll calm things down. He'll box to box, he'll be up and down, work rate will be through the roof, and just bring that edge of quality. And as Aaron said, he's at City for a reason. He's an outstanding footballer. But when you're not playing, we've said it, look, you just want to play football. And I think he would be a really good addition to that Palace squad.
Does he have to play? I mean, I say that because we all know Gareth Southgate sometimes picks players that aren't potentially playing regular football, but does he have to play, do you feel, to get to those Euros and stay in that squad?
I think he'll be there anyway. But I think that he'd want to play because you want to go to that tournament and do yourself justice.
You don't want to be a sub either for the tournament, do you?
Exactly. But the best way of going into a tournament is coming off the back of playing a season, or at least it's going to be half a season now, and you go into it match fit and match sharp. If you're not playing games, you don't have that match sharpness, and you don't want to be trying to get that throughout the tournament.
And of course, he wasn't fit for the World Cup. He'd just come back from that injury. He was included in the squad, wasn't fully fit. He's 28 now. He's at the peak of his powers. He'll want a big tournament at the Euros. So I think he needs to play football. I think he wants to play football. And you ask what you get if you sign Kalvin Phillips. You get a great lad as well. He's a brilliant character, and I think he'll be great for any dressing room as well as what he brings on the pitch.
Just, Michael, because you know Crystal Palace really, really well, sell them to Phillips. What would he get if he went to Palace?
I mean, London, first team football, every minute, a key figure of a team, a well-supported football club, one of the best fans in the Premier League. And, well, Gareth Southgate loves Palace. You can go and watch them nearly every week. But
you want deadline day as well, stood outside the training ground. So
those are the days, yeah. No, I mean, I just feel it'd be down. Kalvin Phillips might have a decision in the final way, but I bring it back to potentially PSR. What clubs could potentially afford that initial loan fee?
Yeah.
As I say, it was refreshing for Roy Hodgson to say it. You'd get a guaranteed start there, but. You know, obviously, Kalvin Phillips is coming off the back. Even when it was interesting, I looked at Kalvin Phillips when they won the Club World Cup. So little involvement, but happy.
Yes, and saying he's very much part of that team spirit, isn't
Yeah.
he? And they all look like mates, so that might be also something that plays in your mind.
That is his personality as well, though.
Right.
He's just one of those lads who lights up a room. He'll come into training every day with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be a great signing for any team in the Premier League.
If you look at Palace, I know it was under different management, but you look at how when Conor Gallagher went there and how it propelled his career.
Yeah,
He's now captain at Chelsea.
Yeah.
You know, he went there, they played in a system, and he was able to show his quality, which enabled him to go back to Chelsea and to be doing what he's doing now. That could be Kalvin Phillips. You know, if Kalvin Phillips is to go there and play for the next 6 months, you know, who knows what opportunities could open up for him come the summer if he's to leave Manchester City.